All right, folks, this is a continuation of the Supercharger videos. I've had this thing tilted down for a week. Nothing has leaked out of this area. Now, it may be, oh, wait, a little bit looks like it's leaked out. Oh, yes, but it's dirty. So a little bit comes out. But this is supposed to be a hole that goes into this area where the oil is. And if it gets too pressurized, it will leak out. So that's what we're looking at. Now, one of the questions I had was, why has all the oil leaked out? Well, I think I realized that it's because it's leaking here. There. So I'm going to take the snout off. I've got the tool to do it. I've got the Allen, and it's a 6 or whatever the heck it is. So I'm ready to do that. And then I got a part. Oh yeah, let's see if I can find the part for you. There's a thing called a coupler. You see this little green thing? The coupler is supposed to exist in here. I got it from ZZ, that ZZ Performance. And when I pop this off, we'll get to see how much of the coupler has worn out. Yeah, we'll see what happens. This is off an M112. Now, an M113K is the supercharger for a 6-cylinder. This is supercharger for an 8-cylinder. So this is the same supercharger, except it's for an 8-cylinder. So from what I can tell, this should work just fine. And here's the company I got it from. I think it was like 20 bucks, so it's not bad. Ooh, and I got a cool little sticker. That's awesome. I have a ZZ Performance sticker. There especially appears to be the 2-liter Ecotechs. That's what they appear to be really into. So I thought, well, why not? I'm taking this thing apart and go from there. I'll be back. So I'm taking out the Mobil 1 jet oil that I installed. And of course it looks good. And I'm gonna have my assistant lift up the rear of the supercharger. And we'll just save this because obviously it hasn't gone bad. And I suspect there'll be 150 cc's coming out. There is a little bit of schmutz in it, which you would expect. Fresh oil in a dirty compressor supercharger chamber. Yeah, so it's like changing the oil in a car. Yeah. Ooh, and it smells so yucky. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. We'll empty it. I'll be back. All right, we're taking the bolts out. This bolt, which is very long, goes here on technically my left side, the supercharger's right side. Then there are 2 shorties, which go here and here. And there's sort of a medium one, which goes here. The only reason I'm recording that is because sometimes these projects take forever. And 2 months from now, I'll sort of go, where did these bolts come from? But you can see all the leaking. And I was wondering if it's here or if it's here. And we're going to find out. Taking the top ones off. You can see there's the snout. So long one goes there. And then I have 2 intermediate ones here and here. All right. So I think I've got all of them off. Yep. So now I'm going to have to bust the snout off. We'll see how that works. All right, I got the snout off. And guess what? I don't have a coupler. This is the newer or the older version of the supercharger. And where does it say that? Mine is a 280. You can see the 280 right there. Apparently the revised one, which was in, I think, 2004, I think it's a 580. I don't have one. So this, one of the modifications it appears they made on the supercharger is they added a coupler because I don't have a coupler. I have the gears and I did examine them. They look good. I don't see any unusual wear patterns. They're nice and tight. There's no slack. Oh yeah, that's all good. So the fact that it had lost its oil has not compromised the supercharger. It's nice and tight. There's no looseness. Yeah, so I'm happy. This is the gasket. Of course, you can't buy the gasket because Mercedes doesn't sell it. You gotta love them. So here is what I got from the dealer. And you notice that you can get the parts, the gasket for back here. You can get all sorts of gaskets and nuts and bolts. You can get some of the pieces for the snout. But everything that's hidden in the snout, which is now currently off, is not available as a replacement part. So if I'm assuming that I have a leak here, which makes some sense, the only other possibility is there's a leak here, but this is the area that the intercooler is located. So there's no reason for oil to be in this area. So I suspect all this goop and oil came from this area, the gasket. Now I did check when I took the bolts out, they came out at about 40 foot-pounds, which is cool. And let's see if it's, nope, it's aluminum. There's a magnet on the butt of this thing, which is why it sits there. So I will probably clean this up, see if I can gently take this, oh, it comes right off. And I'll put RTV on either side. I've seen people do that with gaskets. I'll RTV it, and we'll go from there. Oh yeah. So I'm very pleased. I see no signs of excessive wear. This has been staked. You can see how it's staked right there. Big old nut. Things look good. I'm glad I took it apart. I've discovered I don't have the coupler, which, yeah, I wasted 20 bucks, but who cares? And I will clean up this gasket, clean up the surfaces, which will be easy. I'll put some RTV on both sides. Hopefully that'll stop any leaking, and I'll go from there. I'm not going to disassemble this area. There's no reason to that I can think of, because it doesn't really get involved in the oil inside of the snout. There's no connection. So life is good. I love you all. Peace out. Well, peace out. Gotta use all right, I'm really not done. So here we're looking at the bearing that goes in the snout. And as you know from looking at the previous diagram, you can buy this assembly from Mercedes. Well, no, actually you can't. You can get them used for like 1,500 bucks. And the biggest issue is that this bearing here, you see this C-clip, circlip? This is the bearing that goes bad. Mine is fine. It's nice and smooth. But the question is, if this bearing goes bad, and this is a new one, how do you fix it? Well, that's pretty straightforward. You take the C-clip out, and since the bearing is bad, you obviously take this bolt out. You pop the whole thing out, which is fairly straightforward. People do it all the time. Got to remember the shim in the back, because these are machined together, because it's electromagnetic. And this is the power source to turn it on. And you pound this bearing out this way. Then you put this in an oven, the snout, the piece you've got separated from the bearing, the old bad bearing, into an oven at about like 200 degrees, and you put this in the freezer. And then when everything, you give it 30 minutes, you pull it out with some gloves, obviously, and then you just drop this bearing in, and it seats. Now, just to let you know, see, it's a Nachi, and here's the number. You can see this is the bearing I bought, like 20 bucks, and it matches the same number as the bearing that's been in the car for 21 years. So if you do ever have that situation, you just get the bearing. I got it off of, I think, eBay. It's made in Japan, just like the one that's originally in the car. It's a Nachi, N-A-C-H-I, and the numbers match completely. 45B, or Bravo Golf 07 Sam 5 DL. And that's what we got in the car already. So it's an exact replacement. Dimensionally, everything else is fine. Like I said, take this C-clip out. They make special tools for that. You don't need it. You take this bolt out. You then knock the bearing out this way. Put this in the oven so it expands. Put this in the freezer so it contracts. Drop it in. Put the clip back in. Put the bolt back in. And you've just replaced the bearing. So now, I love you all. Peace out.